I also would consider myself being a fan of Charli XCX. I think she's one of the best creators out there. For me, Vince Gilligan and Charli XCX are written in the same font. They are creators who thinking about their work as worlds where you're a guest. And I feel like it's very similar, right? Brat is not a music album. Vince Gilligan's story is not a story. Those are all subcultures. Charli XCX created a subculture of Brat, right? It's a cultural archetype, is a response to Barbie. Brat is green, Barbie is pink, and they exist in the cultural conversation with one another.
I would respond to that by saying, though, I mean, we spoke earlier relating to the future of media and television and how
Mhm.
it's mostly going to be built around branded personalities. And since you work in the commercial side of this, maybe you're not as wary as I. But for instance, so Charlie XCX, fabulous example. I really enjoyed Brat. I participated in Brat Summer in many, many different ways. You're right, like I thought it was a really necessary moment to counteract and to expand the definitions of girlhood, which was very narrow towards the clean girl aesthetic and Barbie and all of that conception of it, and make it a bit more complicated and messy and exciting and different. That was what Brat Summer, I think, represented to me. Maybe it didn't represent that to
Absolutely.
everyone. I think Charlie XX is a really talented artist. I think in terms of building brands around certain people, I am intrigued by the movie that is coming out. I think it's called The Moment. I worry that once people see a brand movement that is so successful and is a lot of traction, they don't know when to let it go. I've seen a lot of people be like, please bring back Brat Summer. To me, it just seems to be like wringing the idea dry of every drop. It feels very extractive and exploitative of what was like a really interesting idea. Maybe I'll change my mind when I see the movie. But when I saw that they were going to have a movie around Brat, I was just like, oh my God, let it go. It was like 2 years ago. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Like, one of my questions was, how do we take subcultures and fandoms and worlds and leverage those into commercial success, but without losing the magic of what made it so powerful to begin with?
We often ask a question and we know the answer is going to be somewhere in the realm of like yes or no, right? But what if it's the wrong
Yeah.
question to ask? Right? Like, because
Ooh.
we're saying like, oh, how we can keep the magic. We say those ideas as the opposite to each other. It's either creative success or it's commercial success. Should it be this way? It's the wrong question to ask. And I think this is the reason why she is such a genius. Are we trying to do more and more of the same thing? Is it the same thing? Or are we exploring all different ideas? Brat has never been just an album. Brat has always been a moment, a subculture, a conversation about what it means to be a messy girl. Why should we let go of an archetype of a messy girl in culture? If there is no anybody else to carry it right now, and Charlie is the one who does all this work and exploring what it means to be across all different social media. There is a movie now, there is a different take on this. Why should we let it go? She's the artist. She's the one who pioneers and explores and defines culture, different cultural conversations. She offers a different point of view on so many different things. And her answer to this one, well, what if you are wrong on understanding what it means to be commercially successful? Commercially success is a completely different story. I'm the artist, I create art, and art sometimes can have commercial success. I think it's a wrong question to ask altogether. I think a better question to ask is how creators can reach more people and how creators can create more avenues to connect with their art in an authentic way. Because it's not about how many people are out there. Artists cannot control the way how people engage with anything, right?
Yeah.
So for think about your promotion as not as something you promote, but rather than another way to express your art in a different vessel.
You're right. I think the promotion doesn't necessarily have to be disentangled from the art itself. It can be part of the thought experiment. I know I'm quite wary of the commercialization. Maybe it's because of my own experience with creating stuff. And this is something that I'm needing to contend with in my own practice. I was extrapolating my own commercial insecurities onto Charlie XCX, being like, and maybe she got Brat and she did well, and then she got a movie deal and she was like, why would I not monetize this? But it's a very cynical way of looking at the world. And you're right, it can be something else, which is just an extension of a piece of art that you aren't totally done with.
I also think it's very hard not to think about Charli XCX divorcing from her gender and commercial success divorcing from gender. She's a woman. And I do think we as society are very harsh towards women who are trying to do commercially successful. And I think it's also part of the internalized conversations. Like women are socialized to think about, oh, you have to think about others before you then you think about yourself. Because being commercial doesn't necessarily mean being financially successful. It means being taken seriously. And if Charli XX is going to make more money, and she's going to be taken more seriously, and she's going to be in Wall Street Journal and other places, I'm all for this, right? I'm
Yeah.
all for female representation in art. She's genius. And we don't even think about the word genius in terms of women being attached to this expression, right?
Yeah.
She should be there. And if she's going to make more money and she's going to make part two of her movie, yeah, go for this. I think it's great. And it's great not just for her and for her commercial success, but rather than her being a pioneer in culture, she creates a cultural archetype of a new woman who's a little messy, who's very bratty. And by sheer idea of pioneering and exploring this archetype and forwarding this archetype and coding it into culture is so valuable that I want her to be commercially successful. Because the more successful female voices out there, the better it is for everybody.